There are those who question why we are introducing such legislation during a session in which it seemingly has no chance of passing due to the prevailing politics of the moment. And the answer is that we can't afford to wait. We can't afford to wait for what may be perceived as the right political moment to begin offering viable solutions and actions to address climate change. We have to fight to create the right moment to address climate change, regardless of who happens to hold the reins of power right now. Climate change is happening right now, and it is an imperative that those of us who recognize its urgency begin to offer and promote viable solutions and actions right now. The science is clear, and it can't wait for the politics to get easy. The politics will never be easy, regardless of how long we wait. And if all we do is wait, it's quickly going to become much too late to preserve a livable world for our children and grandchildren. So we're here today because we aren't waiting any longer. We're beginning to build the support that is needed to implement an important part of the solution, which is a public policy that will result in dramatic reductions in energy consumption as a rapid transformation to a renewable energy economy develops.
A lot of us have a lot of different places to be. It's like we need clones of ourselves, and so I think we'll just go ahead and get started. We wanted to, by the way, I am Representative Susan Fisher. I represent District 114, a portion of Buncombe County. And with us today, we have several members of the Kinnaird Coalition and other supporters from Asheville and surrounding areas in the West. Thanks to Avram Friedman, who is the director of the Kinnaird Coalition. And we have Senator Ellie Kinnaird with us, as well as Senator Parman, and Representative Deb McManus is with us as well, to talk about the Efficient and Affordable Energy Rates Bill. This is a bill that we know is going to probably have a lot of loud outcry of opposition to, because we are up against a sort of a monopoly when you look at who supplies our electricity at this time. But what this bill would do is provide a tier for, and we have Representative Pricey Harrison, who's just joined us as well. I am really happy to be surrounded by environmentalists and experts in this area, because I am a sort of sometimes expert, but not every day like Representative Harrison or Representative Kinnaird or others. But this is a tiered approach to electricity, to providing electricity, where the user who is a good steward of energy will have less to pay, whereas a larger user of traditional electricity would have more to pay. This is what's going to probably not go over so well with big corporations and big users of electricity, but we want to keep this issue in front of people. We want to keep the conversation going, because we are hopeful that as we go forward, people will become more enlightened, more aware of what it means to diversify when it comes to energy use. So with that, I am going to introduce Senator Ellie Kinnaird, who will then call on other folks who may wish to speak on this bill. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for coming, especially those who've come all the way from the mountains. And I also want to thank my colleagues who are here, and Deb McManus is here, the representative from Chatham County and Lee County, and Wayne, excuse me, who's from the Cary area, right? And we've got Mike Woodward, who is from the Durham area. This bill, my particular bill, we have two different bills. One would actually put in place these incentives, and mine would study them, give them to the Energy Policy Council. The reason for this is that we feel an incentive approach is the best way to encourage energy efficiency. And right now, we know that if we had complete energy efficiency, if every single building were built to an energy efficiency standard, if we stopped using incandescent lights, if we stopped using lights that are not necessary, I walk out on that mall in the evening, all the lights are on in all the buildings. We know that the type of energy efficiency that is available, we could cut energy use by 40% in this country. Many studies have been done to show that. So what we want to do is encourage it. I have been on the Energy Policy Council, as has Representative Harrison, and we know that we have studied areas of concern that could be really helping in this energy efficiency area. Many manufacturers are actually now looking at it, as well as big office buildings. There actually is a building in New York City, 2 buildings now, that have 0 energy use. We know it's possible. So what this bill does is encourage incentives. In other words, those measures are available to any building and any corporation and any potential building to make for energy efficiency. And this would be an incentive. If you choose the energy efficiency and actually make it work in your building or your corporation or your manufacturing plant, you would pay less for your electric use. And that is what our goal is to get an incentive system whereby all of the large users and perhaps the small users, although this is a tiered system so that we have residential, commercial, and manufacturing, would have that incentive to use electricity, to put in place those means which will cut their electricity use. And of course what that means is that's a national goal that would go a long way if we started it here in North Carolina. And so if there are any other of our legislators who would like to say anything, Mike, would you like to say something from Durham County?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a real pleasure to be here today, and I'm delighted to be co-sponsoring this bill with Senator Kinnaird, Senator Parman in our chamber, and our House members who've signed on to this as well. One of the things that appealed to me about this bill is the fact that we'll get a chance to study this, and I hope come out with a comprehensive plan and look at the full range of potential energy savings. Senator Kinnaird has outlined a lot of the advantages of savings, and I really like the incentive approach. I served 7 years on the Durham City Council, and we studied this for a couple of years, but we looked at an incentive approach to saving water and what our water rates would be. And we came up with, I think, a really good method, and this bill is similar with the tiered approach, and that's why I think it's very forward-looking, and I have had experience working on this bill with water usage, and I hope we can apply it to the energy usage as well. And I think another point that we don't want to miss is that this is also a job creator for North Carolina. Anytime we look at more energy efficient ways to use our energy more efficiently, these are jobs for North Carolina citizens. We have a number of firms across the state that are taking the lead in providing energy efficiency. I'm very proud of Cree, a company in my district that's doing amazing things with lighting. And I look across the state, and it's going to create jobs as we can move our energy usage to more efficient methods. So again, I look forward to the work, I look for the passage of this bill, then the study and the time we're going to put into it, and I hope that working together we can craft an incredible piece of legislation that will be very forward-thinking for our state and save energy. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Senator. At this point, I'm going to introduce Avram Friedman, who is the driving energy along with his Canary Coalition.
Thank you, Ellie. I'd like to begin by expressing my deep gratitude to the legislators who have had the courage to sponsor and co-sponsor the Efficient and Affordable Energy Rates Bill, House Bill 401, and its companion, Senate Bill 362. And to those who are finding their voices to talk about climate change and other urgent environmental issues despite the recent trend of denial and reversal that currently pervades on Jones Street. Thank you for your integrity, Representatives Susan Fisher, Pricey Harrison, Rosa Gill, Paul Lubke, Verla Insko, Rodney Moore, Alma Adams, Marcus Brandon, Richard Glazer, George Graham, Dwayne Hall, and Susan Hamilton, who are the sponsors and co-sponsors in the House, and Senators Ellie Kinnaird, Erline Parman, and Michael Woodard in the Senate. And with special gratitude to Senator Ellie Kinnaird and Representative Susan Fisher, unfortunately, who's left the room, but who were willing to initiate this process in their respective houses. Thank you. Counter to the trend in this legislative session, H401 and Senate Bill 362 proposes to lower statewide energy consumption and production by offering powerful economic incentive and means to all ratepayers for investing in energy efficiency in homes, businesses, and industries, while strongly discouraging wasteful energy use also through economic incentive. Similar to successful programs in 7 other states and several other nations, this bill directs the North Carolina Utilities Commission to formulate fair and profitable inverted tiered rate block structures for residential, commercial, and industrial ratepayers. The principle is simple and clear. If you make an effort at saving energy through conservation measures or investment in energy efficiency, you will benefit from a lower rate per kilowatt hour every month. If you waste energy, you will pay a higher price per kilowatt hour. But there's more to this bill. It provides the economic means for all ratepayers to benefit from lower rates by creating an energy efficiency bank to issue low-interest loans only for the purpose of financing profitable energy efficiency projects. The ratepayer who takes advantage of one of these loans realizes a profit from day one with a lower monthly energy bill that includes the monthly loan payment. This is not a form of magic. Smoke and mirrors are not part of this process. The capital involved is based on the very real value of energy that is saved. As one of my heroes, Amory Lovins, would say, those who are concerned with the cost of energy efficiency are confusing the plus and minus signs. An investment in energy efficiency is the safest investment you can make. That investment is going to result in profit, not cost. An investment in energy efficiency also addresses and decreases the impact of climate change, air pollution, freshwater diminishment, mountaintop removal, coal mining, toxic coal ash piles, hydraulic fracturing, nuclear waste and proliferation, and our dependence on fossil fuels, all of which do bear a heavy cost to our health, to our environment, and to our wallets through increased health care and insurance costs, agricultural damage, and damage to the scenic beauty and viability of our state from the Great Smoky Mountains to the Outer Banks. There are those who question why we are introducing such legislation during a session in which it seemingly has no chance of passing due to the prevailing politics of the moment. And the answer is that we can't afford to wait. We can't afford to wait for what may be perceived as the right political moment to begin offering viable solutions and actions to address climate change. We have to fight to create the right moment to address climate change, regardless of who happens to hold the reins of power right now. Climate change is happening right now, and it is an imperative that those of us who recognize its urgency begin to offer and promote viable solutions and actions right now. The science is clear, and it can't wait for the politics to get easy. The politics will never be easy, regardless of how long we wait. And if all we do is wait, it's quickly going to become much too late to preserve a livable world for our children and grandchildren. So we're here today because we aren't waiting any longer. We're beginning to build the support that is needed to implement an important part of the solution which is a public policy that will result in dramatic reductions in energy consumption as a rapid transformation to a renewable energy economy develops. This proposal could catch fire and pass in this session if those who are confusing the plus and minus signs come to a realization about that. If that doesn't happen this year, it's going to return in the next session, and the one after that, and the one after that if necessary, until the understanding and support is gained to get it passed. That's the open and working strategy. In fact, it's important to note that the number of legislative sponsors has grown in this session over what it was in the last session, despite the fact we lost 5 former legislative sponsors to redistricting and retirement, including Patsy Keever, who was the primary sponsor in the House during last session. So thanks to the integrity of this group of legislators and the grassroots organizational efforts standing behind them, the strategy is working, and the intention is to build and accelerate that progress in this and subsequent legislative sessions for as long as it takes. Thank you.
Thank you, Avram. And this concludes our program.
Well, we have a couple other grassroots groups. If there are any other legislators who would like to speak.
Okay.
We have Therese Vick and Lou Patrie with Physicians for
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I didn't realize
Okay.
it. Okay.
Therese Vick is with the Blue Ridge Environmental Defense Team.
And yes, we were founded in the mountains of North Carolina, but I am located here in Wake County, and I am a community organizer and can honestly say I pretty much work across the state of North Carolina. And that's where I'm going to be speaking from very briefly here. The introduction of these bills demonstrates a strong commitment to and concern for North Carolina and her citizens. Much of our work with frontline communities comes from political decisions to give special treatment to companies wrapping themselves in the flag for financial gain. The importance of this legislation to communities who are living with dirty energy or threatened with the siting of biomass incinerators, new reactors, and the potential for hydraulic fracturing cannot be overstated, and for them and for us, I say thank you. Many of these areas are poor and minority, already bearing the public health and environmental costs of poor decisions and backroom deals with industry, and we thank you for your courage.
Lou Patrie of Physicians for Social.
I'm Dr. Lou Patrie, representing Western North Carolina Physicians for Social Responsibility, which is the only chapter in the Carolinas of this organization. Western Physicians for Social Responsibility, our focus is on human survival. We are all dependent on Earth's limited resources under attack due to climate changes. We should be aware that Earth is basically on life support. The great threats come from increased greenhouse gases, especially carbon dioxide, with resulting Earth's temperatures rising dramatically. Continued use of fossil fuels is a major contributor to this and must be curtailed drastically in order to conserve the future generations that we should be cherishing. A most encouraging strategy for reducing carbon dioxide would be rate restructuring as being proposed here within this bill. There are similar reasons for stopping the unwise investments in new dangerous nuclear power plants. I know that Avram and others are aware that several other states have passed similar legislation to what is being proposed here with this bill. This legislation offers incentives for decreased consumption of electricity, lower electricity consumption, and increased efficiency and less consumption of electricity. It would create more jobs than other alternatives It would eliminate the need for building new, very expensive power plants. So we support very strongly this legislation, hoping it will come to fruition during our lifetimes.
Thank you. We especially appreciate hearing from physicians who know the public health and the real cost to our health, so we appreciate that a great deal. I thank you all for coming, and we thank the sponsors of the bill and those who are going to help us get this passed. Thank you.
Ellie.